Hello, everyone, and welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. We are at episode 4 of the Live Learning Getting Started with Certifications. In this episode, we are going to be covering the ACP-420, managing Jira service projects in cloud. We're also going to touch on a few other peripheral things just because they're things that have changed recently on the university and certification platforms, and I think it's worth calling them out in case you haven't seen them, and then, just so that there's a record of them having been mentioned. So why don't I just kick things off right into our presentation here. So we are at episode 4. As a reminder, this is not something where I talk about the same things every single time we're here. We are doing a different certification every single time. So if you missed out on some of the earlier ones, you can always go to the YouTube channel that you're on here under the live tab. You can see the previous live streams there. Joanna, Marie, thank you for joining. I appreciate you being here to help keep me honest and to help answer some questions. I have also created a playlist on the main page. It should be one of the first things that you'll see that will have all of these live streams as they're coming out. So if you want to go back and review something, that is 100% there for you to be able to do. With that, just a little bit about me. I don't work for Atlassian. I don't work for a partner. I am an Atlassian customer, like most of the people that are probably joining this. And I'm just very passionate about Atlassian's certifications and training. I work at a cybersecurity company. I've been an admin for more than 10 years now. I started with a Jira server, expanded that into a Bitbucket server and a Bamboo server, and then migrated that Jira server to cloud before moving to my current company, where we are using Jira Software Service Management and Confluence Cloud Premium. So I have done the gambit of various things that I know a little bit about everything. I will not claim to be an expert at anything. I am an Atlassian Certified Expert. If by title alone, I have at least 8 active certifications now. We'll talk about what that means in future episodes as far as how we keep them active, and what's involved in renewing them. I am a community leader as well. You'll find me mainly in the online community, in the Welcome Center, welcoming new people, doing the monthly roundups, which are also a video version that's posted on this channel here. And I do help out with the Kitchener-Waterloo local events chapter every once in a while. So that's just a little bit about me. A little bit of house cleaning for this episode. I already know that Joanna and Maria are here, so thank you for being here. To any of my other fellow community leaders and creators that are in chat here to help answer questions, thank you for being here, helping to keep me honest, helping to provide additional information and insights into being able to help people out. When it comes to questions, please feel free to ask questions at any time. I will do my best to answer all of them. I will be trying to prioritize things that are on the topic of the ACP-420 first, just so that anyone who watches this back has a better chance of seeing the information that they want access to. If we have more time at the end, we will absolutely go into as many questions as I can answer with the time we have allotted. And if for whatever reason we don't get to a question, or you have a question after the stream ends, please feel free to go to the training and certification collection in the online community. I'm there. Many of the other people who will be answering questions are there. There are tons of very experienced and knowledgeable people that are ready and willing to help answer questions there. So that's always a great resource for helping you at any time that you have a question. With that, let's move things on over and we will take a look at how to get started. So if you are a veteran on this series, you know that I want to just touch on a couple of things in case this is your first time here. The first place you're going to want to go is university.atlassian.com, and you're going to want to log in. If you haven't made an account yet, you're going to be prompted with this screen to create one. This is the same account that you would use if you were logging into one of the Atlassian Cloud products or going to the community. So be sure to put those credentials in, And then that's going to take you to a screen that's going to look very similar to the one that I have now presented here, that you will see your avatar in the top corner. From there, where we're going to get started, I'm already there, but just from the university homepage, the Get Certified will take you to this page that's going to tell you all you need to know about certifications. And what we're going to be looking at specifically for this one is our professional certifications. And once we're there, we're going to scroll down and go to the ACP-420, which is managing Jira service projects. So once we're here, I've said this many, many times before, and I will say it again. The very first thing I always do when looking at the exam, we're going to start with the details and figure out the sort of how much time you have, what your passing score is going to be, how many questions you're looking at, followed by going to the exam topic list. The topic list, when I reload the page, is going to give you everything that's going to be covered on the exam. Let's just zoom in on that a little bit. It's also going to tell you the weights of everything. So right off the bat, we can see that working with service projects and issues is 5 to 10% of the exam. Whereas managing access and permissions is going to be 15 to 20% of the exam. So if you are trying to look at where should I focus if I don't know anything, focus on the things that have the higher weight value, as they're going to be the things that are going to help you have a better chance of passing the exam. So project configuration, as we can see, is going to be the bulk of your exam topic. And if you look at some of the categories in here, we're talking about project templates and schemes. We're talking about being able to configure and troubleshoot request types, managing email requests, recommending troubleshooting of queue configurations, SLA configurations, things that are very specific to a service management project. You will look at workflow configurations, which if you have been here for the ACP-420 or even a little bit on the ACP-100/120, those are going to have a little bit of crossover in the knowledge information. Understanding what workflows are and how to customize them is the same across the board. You're still going to use the same types of things. The only difference being that for a service management project, you're going to need to understand things like how you would set up an approval on a specific stage, and knowing the difference in some of the other things that are exclusive to a service management project that are not there for a software project. Looking through the rest of it, notifications are 5 to 10%, knowing the different types of notifications that are going to need to be done. Since there are, in a service management project, your two types. You have your standard notifications that would be sent to people that are considered collaborators on the project, versus the customer notifications, which have their own setup and configuration. And then moving on, knowledge management. This one is going to require a bit of an understanding of Confluence, just from the aspect of knowing what a space is and how you would connect a space into your service management project so that that could be used as a knowledge center. And then reporting, 10 to 15%. So knowing a number of the things that you need to do as far as configuring the default and custom reports, things like turning on customer feedback, knowing how to use JQL queries to build some of those reports. And then lastly, yes, not quite lastly, so your customer portal being 3 to 5%, which, indicates to me you can probably expect no more than a couple of questions here. So if you don't regularly use the customer portal, and you want to focus more on other things, probably not a terrible idea just to skim over this topic. If you want to and need to focus on other areas. Now I can say lastly, automation and integrations being 10 to 15%, where you're going to cover, some of the basics of how to make an automation rule. The thing I would focus on here versus your software projects is understanding how to use SLAs in making automation rules, since knowing about warning when something's going to breach is definitely going to be something that you'll want to know more about. So now that we have talked briefly about the exam topics, I would say this is where you want to come first. You want to understand everything that's going to be covered on the exam. And I'd like to note, this is something that Atlassian has started doing in some of the newer topic guides. There are links provided to all of the documentation within the exam topic listing. That is a great help. It will help you get to the documentation items for the things that you want to follow up on a little bit more. Once you have done an overview of the exam topic list, my personal preference, this is not something that I would say you have to do. This is just the way that I prepare for things. There are some sample questions that are provided. And so if you just go to this here, it's going to look very much like one of the university courses. It's going to give you a few questions. I like to do this before I start studying for an exam, just to get a kind of a litmus test of where my knowledge is at as far as being able to answer the questions. If this is your first exam, this will also give you some insight into the way in which questions are being asked. You will find that a lot of the questions are going to be multiple choice questions. I can't remember, because it's been a while since I've written this one, if there are still ones that allow you to select multiple answers. I'm going to look to you, Joanna, if you can just sort of knowledge check me on that. There may be a few questions in this one that will ask you to select 2 or 3 answers for what's the right things. Yes, okay, in this one, yes. So you may have to select a couple of answers as far as what's the correct set of answers, but they will all be multiple choice. There's no sort of asking you to write an essay style question. So everything will be provided in the answers. You just have to very carefully read through the answers and pick the answer that, based on what is listed in the question, is either the most correct answer, definitely correct answer. Read through the wording very carefully, because some of those things are going to be important on knowing how to pick the right answer. So once you have done all of those things, the next thing that is worth taking a look at is the actual scheduling of your exam. And the one thing I wanted to do here was also call out that the portal has changed a little bit. So if we go to the CertMetrics portal, it's gotten a nice facelift from when you may have last been in here, if you haven't been in here within the past week or two. So now they've got a very nice dashboard, or a very nice menu on the left-hand side, which makes it easy for you to see the things that you're looking for. Some of the things you may not have realized are things like your program benefits, which there is a certified t-shirt for when you pass your first certification. Definitely something worth taking a look at. You can see various things on your status of your standing, as well as looking at all of your digital badges. If you want to go and schedule an exam, there's a link right here to go and schedule and take the exam, which is going to bring you into the PSI portal, where you're able to look at your available tests. So when we're going to select the ACP-420, you're going to then decide which version of it you want to take. And by version, I mean whether you want to do the in-person or the at a center. I cannot select this one specifically because I have already passed it. So let's see if I can go back without doing any problems. We will go with the Jira Software Essentials because I haven't booked that one yet. And then once we go into a booking, it's going to ask whether we want to do the proctored online or on site. I would say at this point in time, if you want to know more about the scheduling of the exam, go to either the past events in the live learning channel and go to my very first one, episode 1, or just go to the YouTube channel. Episode 1 is all about scheduling the exam, with a bunch of questions answered all about that. So if you want more information about the actual scheduling of the exam, pros and cons versus the online versus on-site, we discuss that very heavily in detail there. With that, I think that sort of covers a lot of the sort of where I would recommend you get started. I don't believe there is actually a course for this topic in particular, but there are definitely some other things. So if you go to the searching by topic and we go by product and go Jira Service Management, there are definitely some free learning that can definitely help you augment preparing for this exam. So with that, does anyone have any questions you want to start with? Because I am happy. There's no specific exam prep course, but there are a few. Yes. Thank you, Joanna. Yes, so there are a number of free courses here. And actually, on that note, I'm going to go back to the home for a second because I think it's listed here. So they have suspended all of the on-demand courses as far as being able to purchase them. I will say this much. Pay attention to the announcements from the university team coming out of Team 24. You are going to be very excited about what news they're going to share as it relates to that information, and that is all I will say about that. So, let's get talking about this one in particular. Does anyone have any questions about things as it pertains to how you might want to prepare for the Jira Service Management, the Managing Jira Service Projects exam, the ACP-420? And I will say, right off the bat, let's see. For someone who's just starting out with becoming certified, would this be the best exam to start with? I'm going to counter that with are you regularly using Jira Service Management projects? I think what it comes down to is if you are regularly an administrator for a service management project, yes, this is definitely a good starting point. I would say the same thing about the ACP-620 if you were managing software projects. If you are managing software projects and you're looking at this exam, I would probably lean more towards the ACP-620 first and then come over and take a look at the ACP-420. But if you are a project administrator who regularly interacts with the service management projects and all of their features for a team, yes, this is definitely a really good starting point for getting a certification. At that same point, I will say that the Atlassian Certified Associate exams are also a fantastic way to start. And this one is relatively new at this point. Came out in February, which is the ITSM with Jira Service Management Foundations certification. This one comes with an actual course to sort of teach you everything you need to know for this exam. It's a little bit cheaper than the professional certification. That if you want somewhere to start, this is actually a really good starting point, which will build I'm going to call it the foundations that you need to know in order to build on the next exam. Is the certification offered at Team 24 the same as we would get it if we did the exam here on the university site? So yes, Erica, there is a certification day at Team 24 where you could register to take, I'm pretty sure it's any of the exams. Joanna, Marie, perfect. There we go. Yes, they are available. I will say this much though. I don't know how much space there is for those. So if you haven't registered, you might want to get in there faster, sooner rather than later, so that you make sure you can. Oh, thank you. Both of you are fantastic at answering the things I'm saying as we're talking about them. Is the Managing Jira Service Projects course a good prep for this exam? Let me just go back. The managing. I would say, so I'm not sure which course you're talking about specifically, but I would say any course that talks about managing service projects or any of the features of service projects is definitely, I think it's locked with the new updates, but it was one of the paid courses. Okay, so I'll say this much. When that becomes unlocked as of sometime in May, yes, it's absolutely a worthwhile course to take a look at. Great, thank you. I'm signed up for the certification day, so I wanted to make sure that I was getting what I had hoped for. Awesome, Erica. I hope you passed that exam. Yes, definitely a worthwhile thing. There are about 25 slots left for certification day at Team. That is good to know, Marie. Thank you. So for anyone who is thinking about getting a certification and is going to be at Team, definitely something that you'll want to look at. Does the sample question e-learning course for the exam have an expiration? No, Pam, I believe that this here, nope, not that one. This sample question doesn't have an expiry. I happen to do it in, 2021. I think if anything, you might have to just sort of re-sign up for it each time you want to do it, but you can take them as often as you want. It's free. It's not time limited to you have to do this and then it's expired and you can never do it again. I can always just click the retake button anytime I want. You know what? On that note, since we're talking about the time left, I'm just going to switch back over to here for 1 second. For anyone who hasn't booked Team 24 yet, I'm just going to call this out right now. Being a part of the creator program, that code there, I will make sure that it's in the video. I will add it into the chat. That super creator code will give you the same discount as if you got into the super fan, which was offered back in February. It expired March 1st. They went to their early bird, which I think cost of a ticket was about $1,000. So if you use that code when you are signing up, that will give you the same price as the superfan discount. So you'll get $1,000 off the cost of a ticket. And this code is good until the Friday before Team 24 happens. So, it's one of those things where if you were on the fence about whether you should go to Team 24 or not, and cost was one of those things, this gives you an option to have $1,000 off the cost. And being completely transparent, what do I get out of it from Atlassian? If I have 3 people who use that code, they'll give me a Lego set. I don't really care about the Lego set. Honestly, I'm just wanting to put this out there that anyone who I can help save $1,000 on getting a ticket, that's what I'm here to try and help with. Is there a start date? There is a start date, so you didn't want to get locked out. I understand that. Yeah. No, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's just a matter of if you do hit the timeout window, if there is one, you can just take the retake. It's free, so you can just do it as often as you want. I also, as far as my study habits, I like booking my exam first because that puts a bit of pressure on me to actually get down to studying. If I haven't scheduled the exam, I'm going to procrastinate. So I like to pick a date, usually about 2 or 3 weeks in advance. And that's just, I want to make sure that I personally have enough time. I've got 2 small children and a full-time job, as well as other activities and commitments. So if I can account, maybe 2 hours a night, if you need more time than that, give yourself more time. And I will do sort of, X topic one night, X topic another night. I've done the sample questions at the beginning. By the time I get through 2 weeks, I've usually forgotten what the answers were to these sample questions. So then it becomes more of a, can I recall the knowledge over the studying that I have done to know not just what the right answer is, but why the wrong answers are wrong, because it's just as important to know why an answer is incorrect so that you're not going to get asked the exact same questions that are in these sample questions. So knowing why an answer is incorrect is just as important so that when you do get to the questions that you're being asked and you do see something that you're like, wait, that is asking that same question, but from a different perspective now. And I know that that's the right answer and that's the wrong answer because this one was wrong and this was why it was wrong previously, which is now the right answer there. So just some tips, tricks, helpful advice, hopefully, for helping you understand what you need in order to do the best you can with this exam. And before anyone asks, is this exam part of the Atlassian Certified Expert set of courses? I'm going to say at this point in time, I don't know. The being able to earn the Certified Expert standing window has passed. It was over sort of at the beginning of February. I don't think it's a bad thing to earn this exam. I don't have any insight into what the new thing is going to look like. Do I have a link to the first 3 episodes? Let me go at it this way for you. I will get you a link to the playlist for that. And then I think that should help you with that. So just come over here. And where is that playlist? There it is. That one there. So I will put that one in the chat. That is your playlist that will get you all of the episodes that have been listed. That will also be continually updated with today's episode. And then we already have one scheduled for the month of May as well. So if you just sort of bookmark that playlist, it'll continue to be updated on a regular basis for the things that are coming out. Yeah, so as far as what the new standing is going to be, I don't know what it's going to be. I haven't been told anything. So I'm just as much in the dark as everyone else is. I am looking forward to what it's going to be. But it's one of those things where TBD, we'll talk about those in the future. I believe announcements are coming in July for those. There we go. Info on the new expert standing is coming in this summer. July, I think. Maybe it's July. I'd have to go back to the post that Suzanne made in December of last year about the fact that a number of things were being retired. Marie, I believe, has told me that we will talk in June on this session about what's going to be involved in renewing certifications. So you can look forward to that in the future. So at this point, I don't have much more that I have to sort of talk to you or talk at you about. So if you have more questions, please feel free to ask them. And in fact, that can be about anything at this point. If you have questions as it relates to the ACP-420, happy to answer those. If you have questions about Team 24, I'm happy to answer those too. Anything else you want to know, anything's on the table. And I will say this much as it relates to Team 24, anyone who's going to be there, you're going to want to, right after the keynote on the Wednesday, make your way over to the community lounge and the university area. Marie's going to be doing a showcase with a number of people who have just earned their first certifications. I will likely be in the audience there, so if you want to come by and say hello, that is probably the first place you will find me. And then you can also hear some more people talk about their experiences in earning their certifications. Great, we'll stop by and say hello. Awesome. glad to hear that. Looking forward to it. Yeah. There's no other questions. I mean, we can always end this one early if everyone seems to be in a good state and knowing what they need to do. If looking on how hard is ACP-420, could you compare it to the 620 or the 121s? Okay, so DoD, I will say this much. The 120 is definitely going to be your harder exam, and that's because you're going to be looking at it from the lens of a full Jira administrator. So you're going to need to know some higher level functions that are not going to apply to your project administrators. The ACP 620 and the 420 are oriented from the lens of a project administrator for the most part. So anything that you would normally have to go to a full Jira administrator for, you will need to know what those are, but you won't necessarily need to know how the full Jira admin needs to complete those tasks for you. As far as the difficulty between the 420 and the 620, that one, in my opinion, it comes down to your experience. Are you a Jira service management shop, or are you a Jira software shop? Have you got more experience working with software projects and development teams, or do you have more experience working with service management projects and your IT team? Maybe it's, I'm not going to necessarily say it's IT, but generally that's where it starts. If you have more experience with working in Jira service management projects, you're going to find this easier than the ACP 620. If you have more experience in the software projects with the development teams, you're going to find the 620 easier than the 420. But I'd say both of them are on comparable levels, depending on what your experience is in using things. Your 120, I would say, is going to be a little bit more challenging if you are not regularly a Jira administrator. Hope that helps answer that. And then just as a how hard are these exams period, I think the Jira guy, Rodney Nissen, said it best when it's just these are not for, I have just become an administrator, I'm going to earn this certification. They are a rite of passage after you have already been a certification. If you want to look at getting a certification as you've started, I'd start here at the ITSM with Service Management Foundations. That's one of the Atlassian Certified Associate exams. These give you the course you need to pass the exam with, I'm going to say, relatively zero knowledge. That's sort of your starting certification. And then once you've got that, you've got your foundation to know all the basic terminology. You start sort of being an administrator for that project for a bit. Then you come over, and once you've been there for a while and you want to just sort of put that rubber stamp on saying, yeah, I think I know my stuff, come over and do the professional certification at that point. That'd be my recommended path at this point. Atlassian's done a fantastic job of starting to build a certification journey now, as opposed to when things first started, it was more of you've been a veteran and you're now just sort of picking up some accolades for recognizing that you've been there for 10 years. Now there's actually a good starting point and then a path forward once you've gotten that starting point. And actually, on that note, there are also new ones out there too. It's not just the service management project. We'll touch on this. I may actually do some things talking about all these. The fact that Cloud Foundations is a new one, which is talking about understanding at a top level all of Atlassian's products, as opposed to just, focusing specifically on Jira. What would be the starting point for the ACP 620? Oh, I am glad you asked that, and I'm glad we're right here for it. You want to probably start with your Jira Software Essentials. That's going to be the ACP 620 starting Certified Associate one. The thing is that because, Jira Software has a much larger user base, you'll probably also want to look at some of the other things they have in addition to that. And it's escaping me now. Where is the other thing I'm looking for? maybe it's just the Software Essentials exam, but there is the board's configuration prep course as well as the Software Essentials one. I could have sworn that there was more than just. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Joanna. So there is. Oh, it's in here. This both that's the prep course, but we're okay. The exam is listed here as well. So yeah, you have both the Software Essentials and then also board configuration are sort of the two that will lead into your ACP-420. So definitely nice to see that there are things being rounded out here on what's available for you to start looking at. All right, since questions are slowing down, I will give it just a couple more minutes and then we'll just wrap things up. I completed the ACP-120 last year and now working on the 420. That'll work on. Okay. In the summer, what's next? Okay, so Samir, I'm going to say this. The next after those two, this is also, again, my opinion. It is not the what you have to do. It's the what we're going to be talking about at the next month's event, the next live learning event. We will be talking about the ACP 520, which is your cloud organization admin certification. That up until the sort of pause on the certified expert standing, this was your fourth exam that made sense as far as getting to that standing. You had the 620 and the 420 for your software projects and your service management projects. You had the 120 as your overall Jira admin cert. And then you had this one here, the 520, which is talking all about an organization admin and that sort of upper level in your cloud organization as far as, you know, the things that connect to your various products, not just Jira, but, you know, covered a little bit about Access. It covers, you know, a bunch of other things. I'm not going to go too deep into this one right now because we will be talking about that one next time around. The ACP-620 also has a very detailed exam prep course. Thank you for calling that out, Marie. Yes, the prep course for the 620 is quite detailed, so it might be the easier of the two, just from the amount of information that's available to assist you in preparing for it. All right. So as I mentioned, we are going to be covering the 520 next time around. That will be the second Monday in May, I believe it is. So if you want to mark your calendars for the 13th of May, that's when we're going to be covering the ACP 520. And the last thing I will leave you with, if there are no more questions that come in between now and me finishing talking, I appreciate everyone who's attended. Thank you for coming out here. Please consider joining the live learning chapter. I am not the only one who does these presentations. There are a few other creators who do them as well. Theirs are all usually focused around the getting started with Jira software, Jira service management, and Confluence as the products. And I know that they've been expanding into also doing deep dives on some of the various features of those. So go check out the chapter itself. I will make sure to add links to all these things before I close things down. Additionally, if you think of anything that you wanted to ask about once I close the stream, this is the link to your certification collection in the online community. Again, there are tons of people there that are more than happy to help you with things. So I would encourage you to go and check that out. And if that's everything, no one has any more questions, I think we'll call it there for the day. Thank you all for attending again. And Oh, I will be sure to see anyone who is at Team 24. Please come find me. I will be around the expo hall floor in various capacities doing some random things. So if you want to come and find me, that's where you will find me. Usually over in the community and university lounge. I spend a lot of my time there. So yes, I should be pretty easy to spot. So with that, Marie, Joanna, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you helping out with things here. And I will absolutely see you guys at Team 24. And with that, I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. See ya.